What is going on, everyone? If you are new to the channel, welcome. And if you are a returning viewer, then welcome back. And if you are familiar with my channel, you know I just posted a video that talked about a Chronicle of Higher Education opinion piece in which the author said that students are really kind of missing the point of college and a college education. Well, I read another article in University Business that kind of runs parallel to that and has some similarities to what those authors were saying. And so this was based off of a series of surveys that were distributed to about 1,014 to 18-year-olds, so Generation Z. And this was conducted by a combination of the Educational Credit Management Corporation and Vice Media. And what they really pulled from those surveys is that about 50% really don't believe that college will get them to where they want to be in life. And on top of that, what we're witnessing is a massive decline in enrollment at colleges across the nation, over 1.4 million students at that. And the survey was interesting because the students were sort of saying, there are work shortages, we know this. We know that people are willing to pay for work, and that's really more attractive right now than going to college and trying to delay employment by a few years. And so there was another survey, it was the Question the Quo Educational Pulse survey, and 90% of Gen Z respondents in that were saying colleges don't really prepare us to be employed. They don't really prepare us for the job field or for finding a career, which I also found interesting because we do, but we don't do a great job of it. And it was actually suggested in the article that what we need to do as higher education institutions is start to share employment data with the students, because right now, if we leave them to their own devices, they draw their own conclusions, and usually those conclusions are college is not worth it, it's not really valuable, and they're better off getting a job right out of high school. And so examples of that data would be employment outlooks or career trajectories or salary examples or a list of potential careers that you can get with a specific major. Now, I have seen a few schools do this. When you look at their majors, their major maps or descriptions of those programs, they will offer a few example careers and maybe some outlooks, whether it's a growing field or not, and what the salary outlook is. But I don't think everyone does that. And if they do, and this is what the students are telling us, is either you're not doing it or you're not doing a good job of showing that to us. So that's something that we need to do in higher education, is be a little bit more clear in communicating and articulating the value of a college degree and directly how that translates to employment. There was another theme with this. So the first theme was really more of colleges are not preparing us for employability. They're not giving us what we think that we need. There was the other theme, and it was really more of the students want to find a way to graduate in less than 3 years, ideally 2 years. And it was twofold, the reasons for that. One, they want to get out and they want to start their career and they want to start earning money. And two, they want to take on less debt. Less time in school equals lower payment and less debt. And in fact, they were asked, if you could change one thing about higher education, what would you change? And unsurprisingly, they said tuition. So what do I think about all of this in reading this article and looking at this survey? Well, for starters, I think it's problematic. The first part, where if we are talking about a decline in enrollment, and if you are familiar with my channel, you know I discussed the book Demographics and the Demand for Higher Education, in which the author Nathan Graw talked about a decline in enrollment and the college-going population. And if we're already witnessing this from the birth dearth and also sort of being intensified because of the COVID pandemic, and then you pair that with a growing number of Generation Z who feel that there really is no value to going to college, I kind of feel like we might be in trouble as higher education. I don't know what that does to our pool of prospective students, what that looks like, and what their motivations are, and how we're going to address that. So I think that's something that we really need to keep an eye on. And we need to figure out quickly how are we going to address this decline, and how are we going to address this attitude that college is not worth it. The other thing is how we communicate. I completely agree. We need to do a better job of communicating to students that this can translate to your career, or this is this conversation or this course or this project. Here are some job skills that you can pull from this, or here's how you can bridge that gap between being a student and a working professional. I think that can be sort of intertwined in all of our courses. And sometimes we really get caught up in the content itself, and that's where we sort of begin to miss the forest for the trees, in a sense that students are there to get a degree so they can become employed, not just because they have a love for that specific topic. And I began to think about that a little bit more, and I almost wonder if our marketing efforts should maybe shift some of that emphasis on, or rather away from, check out our new residence halls or our state-of-the-art classrooms, and put more of a focus on, here are the job skills you can acquire at our school with these programs. Here's the real life experience that you can get as a student. And here are the partnerships we have with employers, so you are ready to go when you graduate, and we can really start to put you in a position to get employed right away. I think if marketing puts that at the forefront, it might make a difference in the eyes of students and even the parents, and not so much on, why am I paying so much to go to a school that is highlighting a rock climbing wall? So that might be something to consider as well. And the other thing I thought too is, if we're looking at students who are really putting an emphasis on the cost of attendance and them wanting lower tuition, I'm not surprised, because all day we talk about crushing student debt. So why wouldn't we expect our students to shy away from going to college when all they hear is, if I go here, I'm going to be burdened with this crippling student debt for the rest of my life, and I may not even get a return on my investment, so why bother? And since we can't directly address that right now, we need to get very creative in how we can mitigate that student debt, or how we can help our students be in a position to where that debt is not a problem. And that is a very large task, but I think if we can get creative, if we can try to innovate with how we approach this, we might be able to come up with a few solutions that can really make a difference. And then lastly, I think higher education is very slow to change. And I think this survey, or these surveys, and what the students are telling us, this is another sign that higher ed needs to pivot much faster. The students are saying, I'm not getting employed, I can make more money without going to college, you're not preparing me for this, and it's expensive to go, and it's taking too long, so why bother? How are we as higher education going to address that? And I feel like traditionally what we do is we want to sit back and observe and analyze, maybe toss around a few solutions, maybe see if it's just kind of a temporary thing and that this will pass, and then we can go back to business as usual. And that's really where higher education as an industry shoots itself in the foot, because we don't evolve and progress as fast as we should be to match the students that we are serving. And this is a cry from the students. They're telling us what they want, and we're hesitating. And I understand there is a lot involved. There is a lot of bureaucracy. There are a lot of policies and politics. But I still don't think that should stop us from having the discussion, or at least tossing out some solutions. So I think we really need to start to look at, how do we change fast? Because when you look at the economy at the timing of filming this, the economy has changed in a very short amount of time. And people's attitudes and mentalities have changed with that just as rapidly. And you're starting to see this domino effect. And here we are in higher education, just humming along without really thinking, what is the larger impact of this, and how can we get ahead of this? So it was a very thought-provoking article. At least that's what I thought. So the description, or not the description, but the link is down below. Go check it out and come back and tell me what you think. You know, am I wrong? Am I off in thinking that we might be in an enrollment crisis if we're not already in one? Or is it not being emphasized with the idea that Gen Z doesn't want to go because they don't think it's valuable? Or am I wrong in thinking that we need to emphasize this more so than featuring some of our campus amenities? Or am I wrong in thinking that we change too slowly and maybe there are some schools out there that are adapting fast? I don't know. I'm curious to hear what you have to say. So check it out, come back, let me know your thoughts. If you liked it, you didn't. If you agree or if you disagree, I would love to hear it. And with that, I will catch you in the next one.